welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelly. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Hey guys, I'm sorry this video is getting posted a little bit late. Normally I post it on Saturday morning, but I'm still in kind of vacation mode. I feel like it's been a super chill weekend, and I just feel like I'm not on schedule. I'm not on schedule, so I'm sorry the video is posting a little bit late, but this video is still good for the week of October 16th through the 23rd, 2021. If you come across this video at another time, then there still could be messages contained for you. So it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a universal video. So if you were drawn to this video, if you were drawn to more than one pile, there might be messages contained. As always, we have a saying in card reading. We say, take what resonates and leave the rest. If you feel like the message is not resonating for you, then you can just leave it by the wayside, because cards are cards are just symbols and they're interpretable. So it's never chiseled in stone. Now we have, as always, I keep my decks in rotation. We have 3 wonderful decks here. The first deck, I'm going to try not to spend a million years. I am going to try to keep this reading kind of brief. I'm filming it kind of late. But the first deck is one of my favorite decks. It's a Jane Austen. It's the Jane Austen Tarot, and on top of it we have a beautiful double pearl. I'm an English major and I love Jane Austen, so I can lament on the images on this deck. So I'll try to keep it concise, but that's pile 1, or deck 1. Deck 2 is the Tarot of the Divine by Yoshitani. And this is like a fairy tale deck. It's one of my more recent decks, and this is really good. It's been out of rotation for a few weeks, so I'm bringing it back. And then on top of it, we have a beautiful crystal point. One end is raw, one end is polished. And then the third deck is one of my favorite decks. This is the Spacious Tarot, and on top of it we have a beautiful green fluorite. And this is all nature deck. The images in this is absolutely amazing. Now, to clarify, I was very drawn to bring out the, what is this called? I'm sorry, let me get the name. Oh, Little Reminders Law of Attraction cards by Monte Farber. This deck is actually, it's based a little bit more towards finances, but the images, it gives a keyword and a phrase about how to, almost like The Secret, about how to draw abundance into your life. And again, I was drawn to use the cards because we haven't used them in a little while, and I wanted to go ahead and clarify. Now, just one other really quick announcement is this year I am deciding to go ahead and wrap up the weekly energy card readings. The last weekly energy card reading that I will be doing will be on December 25th, or Christmas Day of this year. So I truly appreciate everyone who watches my videos. I'm not leaving card reading completely. I will still be back to do deck reviews. I will still be back to do special readings periodically. And actually, if anybody wants to see specific readings that I do, like, love readings, outcome readings, what's the advice for this situation, whatever theme that you really want to see, week after week, if you want to leave a message, post in the in the messages area, let me know what you want to see, and I'll be back periodically. And I'll still celebrate certain days. Like if it's Halloween or Jane Austen's birthday, we'll still do special readings for that. So I'm not disappearing completely. I really need a break from doing it every week. And but I'm so grateful for everyone who follows my channel. But I'll go ahead and give you a minute to decide. If you need more time, please pause the video, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. We're going to go ahead and move these decks up. Okay, deck number 1, the Jane Austen Tarot with the double pearl. What is your energy for the week? Oh, that came out. Okay, middle of the week. Oh my goodness. Wow, we're getting a lot of Pride and Prejudice here. Okay, middle of the week, end of the week, please. Wow, okay. And let me just get one. Thank you. Okay. Wow, I'm really getting a story here. Okay, you got there. Go ahead and get your your reminders card. Okay, I'm really drawn to this top one. It kind of tapped out. And this talks a lot about communication. And actually, all three of these cards, with the exception of the Tower, all three of these cards are the story of Pride and Prejudice, which is Elizabeth Bennet and Darcy. All right. This is amazing, guys. First off, the beginning of the week, you have the Lady of Candlesticks, which is the Queen of Wands. And you see here that she's got a letter in her hand. And, you know, funny enough, if you've ever seen Pride and Prejudice, there's a dynamic between Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy, who are the main characters in that story. There's a lot of other subplots with Elizabeth's family. But basically, there's an attraction between Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. But Mr. Darcy is very, he's very wealthy, and he's a little bit arrogant with that wealth. Like he feels like he can just treat anybody. And it's interesting. He's a good person. He's a good leader, but he is a little bit spoiled and a little bit arrogant with his wealth. And Elizabeth comes from a more like, you know, middle class kind of family. You know, she's not poor, but she's not wealthy like he is. And they get off on the wrong foot, right? They get off on the wrong foot. And at one point, there's a misunderstanding that Elizabeth has about how there's this person that she's interested in, Wickham. And Wickham's really not a good character. Like he's a manipulative character, and he kind of spins the truth to his own ends. So what I'm kind of seeing here is I'm seeing definitely a theme. And actually, you know, this is the first time I've ever noticed this. She has a cat at her feet. The cat, you know, anytime you see a cat in tarots, and actually that is, you know what, in the Rider-Waite-Smith, the Queen of Wands has a cat at her feet. That is amazing. I've had this deck for a long time, and that's the first time I'm seeing that. But I think in the beginning of the week, you are going to get notification about something. And you are going to handle this like a boss. Like, you're going to handle this like the freaking Queen of Wands. The other thing that this is, you know, Elizabeth Bennet is actually a good representation for the Queen of Candlesticks or the Queen of Wands, because she knows herself. Like, she has a pride in herself, but it's not arrogant. She just knows her worth. Right? She, what I'm thinking of is in the book and in the movie, it's more the BBC version of Pride and Prejudice, but which is a longer mini series. It's like 6 hours long. If you ever watch it, it's on Hulu. But you, it stars Jennifer Early and Colin Firth. But in that one, and it's a real line from the book as well. She's standing in the garden and she's arguing with Darcy's aunt. And Darcy's aunt's like, okay, you are not marrying into my family. Has he proposed to you? Has he? And she's like, that is none of your business. And he's like, you know, she's like, and the aunt is really criticizing her and going like, you know, well, you were born into a certain realm of, you know, like a caste system. You were born into a certain realm, and you shouldn't try to leave that sphere. And Elizabeth in that rendition was awesome. She just makes total eye contact, like, he is a gentleman, I am a gentleman's daughter. By me having any association to him, I do not intend on quitting any sphere. It's like, you know what, screw you, you know, screw you. And here I kind of see in the beginning of the week, I don't think that you're in that energy, but you know your worth. You know what you do, where you come from, who you are. And you see that she's kind of reading this letter, right? And it's interesting, in the middle of the week, you got two major arcanas. In the middle of the week, you got Justice. And Justice is that Justice is the letter that Mr. Darcy wrote to Elizabeth Bennet, describing what was going on. Like, she was under a misconception about who Wickham was. Right? She thought that Darcy was being mean to Wickham, and he wasn't. It turns out that Wickham was real, you know, was not a good character. Now, I can kind of see this one of two ways. I am definitely seeing this more as a romantic thing, guys. I do think that maybe if you've had some kind of misconception about someone, they're going to send you some kind of communication. It might very well be a letter. That's very traditional. Or at least it'll be an email. At the very minimum, it might be a very long DM, like a direct message or some kind of. I don't think this would be a text. It seems, you know what, it seems kind of long to be a text. But the other thing that I would get is we are still in Mercury retrograde, so I would definitely, before you go in and wipe out your junk or spam folders in your email, I would look really carefully to make sure that there's not any like letters from anyone. But I'm definitely seeing you, like, when Elizabeth was reading this letter, some of the information that she was reading was disturbing, right? Because Mr. Darcy was calling out Wickham for being a villain. Also, Mr. Darcy had taken a few actions that Elizabeth didn't agree with. Like, in Pride and Prejudice, Elizabeth's sister, Jane, is in love with Darcy's best friend, Mr. Bingley, and they're genuinely in love. Mr. Darcy took steps to separate them because he thought that Elizabeth's family was too uncouth. Like he thought Elizabeth's family was a little bit ridiculous. Like her mom is a little silly, her dad, he's a practical man, but he does still kind of make some poor decisions. And he just really, there were some times when even Darcy himself kind of acted arrogant, thinking that her family wasn't good enough or her background was questionable. And here, I get the sense that someone might be kind of, I do get a romantic sense. I first off feel that someone is probably, I do think that someone is probably defending themselves. They're probably going to be defending their own actions. I do get the sense like this person that's sending you the message is going to be outing somebody else as a villain, or some kind of misconduct is going to be revealed. And then the last thing that I kind of get is that I do think that this person in this letter is going to be also revealing to you that they thought that your family or your background was not good enough, but now they've changed their mind. Because that's another thing with Mr. Darcy. He later realizes that he was judging Elizabeth, but Elizabeth was everything that he wanted. You know, she almost levels him out a little bit. She brings him down, you know. And you know how it is. Sometimes people put on airs. They think their shit don't stink. But then when you actually meet somebody who... Elizabeth Bennet's real world. You know, she's real world. The cool thing about Elizabeth Bennet, too, is she's an utter lady. Like, she is a lady. And even though her family is a little bit... can kind of... Her family can be a little ridiculous at times. They can be a little salt of the earth. But her family is a good family, though. They love each other. They support each other. Yeah, some of her sisters are stupid. Some of her sisters are a little silly. Not stupid in a bad way, but like Lydia, and actually later Lydia ties into Wickham, you know, but, you know, so you see associations, and actually, you know, and actually in Darcy's defense, he can kind of see, you know, that there were danger signs, you know, with being affiliated to a family like that. But, you know, the pros outweighs the cons, you know. But I would highly, if you get this pile, I would highly suggest watching Pride and Prejudice. You could watch the newer one with Keira Knightley. That one is equally good. Matthew McFadden is a really adorable Darcy in that one. But if you want to really get the gist of it, I would probably watch the BBC version. It's a longer one, but it stars Jennifer Early and Colin Firth. And honestly, a lot of us diehard Jane Austen fans really love that one because it's just, you know, Colin Firth is hot. But in the middle of the week, what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing justice. I'm seeing some kind of written correspondence. Now, one other way I can kind of see this is if this is work related, you might be getting some notification in writing about some kind of decision. And this decision might be this is going to be like revealing what's going on legally, and it's going to be implicating parties. You know how sometimes justice can be actual legal documents. And anytime something's in writing, it's like, okay, you know how if you've ever been to court for something, the moment it is in writing, the moment you get the official on paper notice of something, it's like, okay, this is what's happening. This is the step that someone's taking. And again, we are in Mercury retrograde in Libra. So what this could be is this could be revealing the actions, the legal actions that someone has taken. And it might be revealing that someone was being a little bit underhanded, or somebody was pretending to be something that they weren't. But what I really get from this is that there's going to be, there's no black and white here. There are shades of gray here, meaning that there's a few people that you probably thought were doing right by you, but probably did some shady stuff that you wouldn't agree with, but they're gonna admit that to you. They're gonna say, yes, you came to me and asked for this, and I did this behind your back, but I'm telling you that I did that, and it's gonna be in paper. Like, you actually have it on paper where you can say, this is the action that this person took. So if it's romantic, I do think that you are holding, in the beginning of the week, you are holding your integrity, and you're doing it like a boss. Like, you're doing it like, the other thing with the cat is that it's a lot of instinct. It's like you're following your instinct, but you're standing strong in who you are. By the middle of the week, you are going to get some kind of legal written something. And if it's from a lover, this lover is probably going to be admitting to you that they found some kind of fault with you or your family or your background, or they judged you in some way, and they're going to admit that they judged you wrongly. They're also going to show you some of the shady stuff that they did. But I also do think that there's a villain here that needs to be outed. Like, somebody's going to admit that there's somebody who's kind of lying in this situation, or being not true. Now, by the end of the week, this is interesting. You got the Tower. And the Tower is one of my favorite cards in this deck. I know that sounds crazy, because this is persuasion. And in Persuasion, that's another really good movie. I highly suggest the BBC version. I think there's only BBC versions of that movie. But what I would suggest is that if you get a chance to watch this, what this is this is the scene where Louisa falls from the wall. And you'll see there's a lot of people there. And what it is the Tower, and if you get a chance to watch the How to Tarot on my channel, there was a really great description of how the Tower is. The Tower is a hard reset. It's like a lightning strike of a situation that turns everything. What it is it like almost like rebooting your computer. If things were going on the wrong path, the Tower is a breakdown of the faulty foundation. It's the breakdown of what went wrong, and it puts everybody back. Like in Persuasion, that moment when Louisa fell, it reset everything, because there were couples that were pairing up. Like Frederick Wentworth was pairing up with Louisa. After Louisa fell, that was the catalyst to get everything switched over, where the right people were paired up with the right person. And I won't give away the plot, but definitely the Persuasion is my other favorite. I absolutely love that. I love the what is it, Sally Hawkins, I think it is. I love her rendition of it. But the Tower basically is a reset. It's like, okay, we were going down the wrong path. We were believing the wrong things. We were going down the wrong way. And the root of this is the Five of Cups. And this is Elizabeth Bennet again, except it's with Wickham. And this is where Wickham is walking in the garden. And, it's interesting. All of these cards tie into one another. Elizabeth is naive. Well, not naive, but Elizabeth was told a story by Wickham that he was innocent and that Darcy did him wrong. Darcy writes her a letter that admits both of his misconceptions, but he also, explains what Wickham was really doing. So Elizabeth knows the entire truth. And then there's a moment where she's walking in the garden and Wickham is still telling the lie. Like, he's still like, oh yeah, well, Darcy did this to me, Darcy did that to me. And then Elizabeth calls him out. She's like, well, my understanding was that you were offered a living and you turned it down because you didn't want to take servants. and now you're turning around and saying that he did you dirty. And Wickham gets caught in the lie. So I think there is definitely this week it looks great, guys, because I think you're standing strong in your truth. You are being totally authentic. I do think that you're going to get in writing some kind of admittance to wrongdoing. There might be one true villain in this that gets outed, but the tower, it knocks down everything that's untrue. I think you're seriously going to get some justice this week, guys. And I think it's going to be a hard reset. Everything, and what it is it might feel a little bittersweet because what you thought was happening was not, but it puts you on the right track to go in the direction that you're meant to go in, the white path for you. It sets everyone in the right direction. And what's amazing, guys, is look at all this communication and look at your card. You got the communication card. And look at this. You got two people kind of standing. You know what I think of? You know how when you shoulder check someone, when you knock shoulders, it's almost like checking someone. Like, okay, get your facts straight. That's what I'm kind of seeing here. Also, all of this is pretty much outside. So maybe you have a conversation with someone outside. But I really get feeling like this is going to be in writing. But it says, I effectively communicate and clarify my needs in order to achieve my goals. Gosh, guys, who knows? Maybe you're writing something, but I really get the sense that you're getting the memo of what's been going on. Like someone actually tells you what's been going on. And this gives you the power to communicate your needs. But by the end of the week, this is good, guys. I mean, we got the Tower and the Five of Cups, so I'm just going to get one extra card. I don't see that Emperor. God, this might involve some kind of boss. The Emperor can be a divine counterpart. Holy crap! Oh, gosh, guys, look. Remember that scene I was telling you about when she told 7 of candlesticks, 7 of wands, you're defending yourself. This is that scene I was telling you about where she tells her aunt to go shove it. She orders her out of her garden. She's like, he is a gentleman. I am a gentleman's daughter. By associating with him, I do not intend on quitting that sphere. Go screw yourself. And then we've got the Maiden of Coins. You might have like a divine counterpart kind of doing kind of like a small, they're giving you something physical. They're giving you some kind of, you know what, I'm getting physical proof. You see how she actually has a letter on the table there? I'm hearing, you know what, someone might actually, if this is legal related, someone might be giving you a document that you need that will reveal what's going on. And it's small. It's something small. But it allows you to defend yourself. This is Elizabeth Bennet again. And it's interesting, in the Maiden of Coins, I believe that's Charlotte Lucas, who is Elizabeth's best friend. You have allies here, guys. But I do get the sense, wow, yes, something's going to come to light. It might be some little thing that you can use to defend yourself. And this can be read one of two ways. The Emperor can be a boss type. It can be like a CEO or boss type, but it can also be a divine masculine. And definitely in the story of Pride and Prejudice, Darcy and Elizabeth were divine masculine, divine feminine. And all these characters, it's interesting. I don't think the Emperor was, I think the Emperor was Emma, but you've got a lot of Pride and Prejudice here, guys. And I do. That letter was a turning point in that story. Like, these two people would not have gotten together if that letter had not been written. The other thing is that it revealed Wickham, revealed the wrongdoings. So, you might even have a boss that gives you the information that you need, But yeah, I do feel like there's going to be a hard reset. You're going to be given the truth of the situation. Some of it's going to be a little bittersweet. It might involve like a divine counterpart or a boss, but some kind of little piece of evidence, physical proof is going to be there to defend you. But the entire time you are in Queen of Wands energy, and you can be a man in that energy too. It just means that you know your emotions, you know your worth, and you're not stepping down. You might come from humble beginnings or humble background, but that does not reflect on you. You are who you are. But wow, guys, what a powerful week. All right, so moving on to deck number 2. It's the Tarot of the Divine by Yoshitani. Let's go ahead and see. We're keeping the readings to 20 minutes or less. That's good. Again, I'm going to try to keep this brief. Let's do a quick shuffle. I shuffled these beforehand, but... Okay, beginning of the week. Okay. End of the week. Oh, okay, please clarify the 3 of Swords. Okay, Justice looks like it's our common denominator here. 2 of Wands. Wow, Page of Coins. Justice and Page of Coins. Emperor. Oh my gosh. We're getting a lot of the same cards, guys. That's amazing between 2 decks. All right. Okay. 1 card, please. Security. Ooh, that popped right out. Oh, gosh. Okay. King of Swords. Oh my goodness, guys. Oh my god. All right. I'm definitely seeing something kind of clear here, guys. Now, beginning of the week, you got the King of Wands and you got Death. You got 2 majors in this spread, but you got, one thing I'll notice is that when you look at Death here, you see how she's holding a candle, and there looks like there's a man in bed, right? And she's pulling back the curtain, but the candle is illuminating like a skull, even though you see a hand that has flesh, right? And underneath it, you've got the King of Wands. Beginning of the week and over the weekend, guys, you are going through a big transformation. The King of Wands, I'm seeing like a phoenix, like a firebird. And that's another symbolism of death. Now, I feel like you might be going through some endings right now, but I think it's helping you to transform. I think you know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. Like, you are in the midst of some kind of big transformation. You might be letting go of some things. You might be letting go, like, you know what I hear is that I'm kind of feeling like you feel like a zombie, like you just kind of, I feel like you're working really hard. And this is actually, this has almost like peacock feathers, but we've got flames like a phoenix. So this is like a, I think you're going through some kind of transformation of your ego. The other thing that I get is that you're going through a transformation of self. I keep hearing dead man walking, but I don't think that it's like the dead man walking like in a prison or anything like that. I feel like you're working really, really hard to let go of old beliefs, and you know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing death of ego. Death of ego. And I know that's really heavy for a weekly energy, but I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's almost like, also when we get to the end of the week, we've got some imagery here that talks about like choices and being forced to work. And, you know, like I'm seeing painful sacrifice, guys. I'm seeing painful sacrifice here. So it doesn't mean you're going to have a bad week, but it means you know exactly what's going on here. This situation is not a surprise. I think that, you know how when you're in a relationship or you're in a marriage, and I'll even share personally, I was in a 7.5-year relationship. It was my first true love, and it really broke my heart. And it forever changed me when that relationship ended. It was a high school sweetheart. I had been in love since I was 15, and it ended badly. And when you've been with someone from the time that you're young, or if you've been with someone, and this could be family related too, if you grew up in a family dynamic that was hard on you, if you felt abandoned, if you felt used, if you felt like no one was ever there for you, if you felt labeled, and the same thing, labels come about when you're in relationships too. If you're married, you're someone's wife, you're someone's mother. And when you get divorced or if something happens, letting go of those labels is like an ego death. And it is. It's like this. The other thing is that you feel like you're like a walking skeleton. Other people might see flesh on you, but you feel like kind of dead. Like, who am I? What am I? The other thing is you almost have to kind of let that label die. You have to letting go. The ego is such a strong force. And actually, there's another deck that I have that I talked about that talks a lot about the source of ego. Ego kind of protects us, right? When you go through the world and you say, I am a Libra, or, I'm whatever your job title is, or I'm a wife, I'm a mother, that gives you a sense of self, right? And it's almost like your shield. It's like saying, okay, I accomplished this. And when that ends or changes, you feel like that mask, that shield has been stripped away. That honor, that badge has been kind of ripped off your chest. And it's like, okay, who am I now? What am I now? Right? But the same thing is in reverse when it's a negative ego stance, when it's a negative label. If you grew up with people treating you as if you had no value, you almost have to go through that same ego death. You have to let go of the label of I am worthless. I'm not worthless. I have lots of value. And it's one of those things where you might not know what your new mask is going to be. You don't know what your new ego is yet, but you're working on it, right? You're working on it. But what I'm seeing here is that I feel like, first off, I think that you're not getting a whole lot of sleep. The other thing is I think that you're trying hard to redefine who you are, right? The other thing is that if there is some kind of death, like if you're letting go of something right now, I think it's very hard on you to let go of the not just the labels, but the whatever role that was, whatever role you were playing. The other thing I kind of get is that maybe I am kind of seeing that you might be dealing with someone, and this could be a King of Wands character, that's really wearing down at your sense of self. Like you might have a King of Wands character that's making you feel like you're worthless, or making you feel like, like you have no value. The other thing I see here is that I'm seeing kind of it's like you're struggling to say I am this, I'm dynamic, I'm a leader, I'm transforming, but then you have someone who's kind of wearing that down. Like there's some kind of ego death that's going on here, guys. It is also possible that maybe in the past you were a little bit egocentric. Maybe there looks like there was some there were some kind of habits that you might have learned. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. The way we grow up, sometimes the way we grow up teaches us those, right? Like, growing up in a family that says, okay, you must always have money. If you don't have money, then you don't have any value. So then what do? You overcompensate. You kick up that ego to be like, well, I must have money at all costs, right? That would be more like a King of Pentacles. But King of Wands, I'm seeing definitely like it's almost like you want to be seen as the dynamic person. You want to be seen as the leader, as the strong one, as charismatic, as sexy. That's the other thing, is like if you feel like you're not sexy, you're not anything. you know. But I do sense that you're kind of, I am kind of getting a sexy vibe with this too, because he's in bed. Right? He's like holding up a candle, right? The other thing is that maybe you've been keeping up a persona that's just really not you, and you want to let it go, and you've been working to let it go. Now, by the middle of the week, this is interesting, guys, is that it's interesting. This deck has the probably the saddest Eight of Coins I've ever seen, because usually the Eight of Coins is like working hard, developing a skill. But this is what this is this story. This is a fairy tale where a girl, she has 7 brothers, and her 7 brothers were cursed, and they were turned into birds. And it's interesting, these are 2 birds too. The King of Wands from earlier is a bird as well. And what she has to do is she's forced into, you see how her feet are bleeding. She's forced into servitude, and you see she's crying. She has to weave all of these pentacles in order to free her brothers. So I am seeing here that maybe this could be a family thing, guys. Maybe you're working to make money, or maybe you're working, I am kind of seeing like there's a death of something here, and it's really making you feel less than. It's making you feel, and it's almost like on the outside, your mask, your ego is this dynamic personality, but inside you just kind of, I'm hearing dead inside, feeling dead inside. And I also get like staying up awake at night. And just for the record, physiologically, when you're depressed, also if you do imbibe a little bit, if you drink, alcohol will wake you up in the middle of the night. It might make you a little sleepy at first, but it will wake you up the way that it affects your system. And also alcohol is a depressant. So it will not only make you depressed, but it will contribute to your depression, you know. But it also wakes you up in the middle of the night, and serotonin and your sleep cycles are very important for healing. So, but here I see a lot of overwork. It might be that you're overworking because you need to get money to help a family member. The other thing I kind of get is that maybe you want to let go of some kind of family dynamic, because you're a bird and they're a bird. But you feel kind of resentful about it. It's almost like you just want to be yourself, but you're kind of forced to either keep working, or one other way I can kind of read this is maybe you're developing, I kind of see this particular Eight of Coins like in a scenario where maybe you want to do something different for your career, but your family's like, you know, like if you come from a family of lawyers, and they're like, well, we're all lawyers, you're going to be a lawyer, even though you do not want to be a lawyer. And it's almost like you resent it. You're doing the work, you're working your butt off for something that you really isn't you, right? It's not you, but everybody else, you know. I'm hearing birds of a feather flock together. But I do see this is a family story. She's working to free her family, but she's in pain, and it hurts her, and it's like slave labor is what it's like. So in the middle of the week, you might feel like you're toiling away. I mean, again, like that scenario, maybe you're learning or you're developing skill at something, but it's really not what you want to do, but you have to do it to either support family or because it's expected of you. And again, I feel like you want to let this ego, this whatever this persona is, you just kind of want to let it die. But there's some kind of obligations. You know, you see her clothes are really tattered too. I am almost getting like a sense also like I'm hearing like almost like your clothes have to look the part. Maybe you have to wear suits and ties, or if, you know, assign the gender as it resonates. Maybe you have to kind of dress up for work, and you just, it's making you real resentful. And it feels like, it feels, again, you just want to let it go, but you're forced to do it. And underneath the Eight of Coins, you got the Two of Wands. And this is the story of Janus, Janus, which is the two-faced. It's almost like a Gemini kind of energy. You have two choices. You could, and I do think that you have a choice, guys. The other thing is, okay, look at this. You see this, the way the spread is laid out? You have him facing this way, which is like one direction. And then the other face is facing this direction. You, in the middle of the week, you are doing the work. You're going down the path to give you either tenure or skills in a certain direction, but you don't like the work you're doing. It's being forced upon you. You have to do it because it's either keeps you in the same sphere with other people, or you're doing it to support family financially. But you could either stay in the past, and when you look left in tarot, when you look left, that's the past. You can either stay as you were, and this is the persona that you're trying to let die. You know, you can either stay in that, I'm the man, you know, I'm sexy, I got a million, you know, got a million women, got a million men, I'm you know, dapper, wearing the suits and ties, which is the past. Or you can look to the future. And actually you can kind of see he looks a little bit more regal. He looks a little bit more dressed up on this side. And it's almost like you're stuck in a choice. Now, one thing I am getting from the middle of the week energy is that, you know how sometimes when you're in these phases of life where you're like, okay, I know I need to make a change, but you know, that change isn't going to happen in one day. You know, that change isn't going to happen on Monday. You know, you have to take steps to work your way towards the direction you want to go, you want to be the change you wish to see. But what's happening is that it's going to be a hard choice. But it's interesting. It's almost like over the weekend. The other thing I kind of get is that, I hate to say it this way, guys, and you can be a woman in the King of Wands energy. You might be sleeping next to somebody that doesn't make you feel really alive. And you might be in bed, like, I am almost getting a little bit of a sexual thing here, guys. And if you're a woman, this could be with your man. But, you know, it's almost like you're keeping up a persona that's not true. And over the weekend, you're just kind of rolling with it, right? You again, death is a slow-moving card. And if you watch the How to Tarot on death is slow. Almost like the changing of the seasons, you know, and if you're watching this at the time the video posts, and if you're in North America, that we're going into fall season, you know, that doesn't happen in one day. You know, all the leaves on the trees don't fall off and just hit the ground, you know. It takes weeks, it takes months, and then before you know it, okay, all of those dead leaves disintegrate, go back into the ground in order to have the new growth in the spring. So, but what I'm kind of seeing is that, like, over the weekend, you just feel kind of dead inside. I get the sense like you're awake at night. You're not feeling very amorous. I think you almost have a persona of being this King of Wands, but you really don't feel that anymore. Like, it's just it's an ego. It's like, it's a role. It's a persona that you want to let go of. But it's been very slow going. By the middle of the week, it's almost like, you ever get in the middle of the week, especially by Wednesday, and you're just tired, you're irritated, and you're like, okay, I need to make a choice. I can't continue this way. It is almost that irritated apex feeling like, okay, this is slave labor, right? You know, I don't want to do this anymore. And it makes you really start to strongly consider your choices. Okay, do I want to go back to the past, or do I want to make a choice towards the future? Now, I do think this irritation, it's a minor card, so it's not a major, but I think that irritation is really putting a fire under you. And by the end of the week, this is interesting, guys. You've got Justice underneath Three of Swords. So there's also lightning in this picture, and there's been some Tower energy in the collective. I'm just going to see Three of Swords. What does this mean for my Knight of Cups. I get the sense, like, in this story, in the Three of Swords story in this deck, there's a woman, this is like the swan story, where the man gets jealous and thinks because his wife is sneaking away at night, and he thinks that she's cheating on him, but really what she's doing is she's harming herself at night privately to help him. Like she cuts off her feathers to help him. But what I'm seeing here is that, like, Knight of Cups, I get the sense, like, the Knight of Cups is a journeyer, right? He's not a king. He goes on journeys to follow his own heart. But what I'm really getting here is that I get the sense, like, you might be causing pain to someone. Again, you might be leaving a situation because it's you wanting to follow your own dreams and follow your own heart is going to put you in a third party situation. It's going to cause harm to the situation that you already have. But the other thing that I kind of get here is that this might be legal with the justice, you know. Someone, you might have to, because there are swords in this, you might have to verbally tell someone that you don't want to stay in the relationship anymore, that you don't want to serve that role anymore. If this is family related, you're gonna throw it down and say, look, you know, I don't want to continue hurting myself at night. It's like, the other thing I get is that you feel like it's painful for you to go do what you want to do, like following your heart and being true to yourself. The other thing I kind of get is that you're being made to feel like following your heart is a bad thing. Like you're betraying your family. You know what a great scenario? There's a great scene. Okay, if you've ever seen the movie Cool Runnings, it's a Disney movie, Cool Runnings, that talks about the first Jamaican bobsled team. And Jamaica is, you know, a tropical island who went to the Olympics in the 80s, right? It's based on a true story. But one of the characters, his name is Junior, right? And his father is a wealthy property owner in Jamaica. But his father started off poor. And they later grew to become the biggest family, like the most wealthy family on the island. And so Junior, you know, Junior gets written off a lot. People think that he's just on his father's coattails. But his father doesn't want him being a bobsledder. He wants him to go into the family business. So here, you know, you got Junior kind of in an innocent way, in a young adult way, wanting to just follow his dream. But his family is making him feel like, again, it hurts him. If you get a chance, watch that movie and pay attention. It ends well, because of course it's a Disney movie, but it ends well. But his father really, like, Junior was sneaking away to go do the bobsled thing, and his father was like, you cannot do this. It's like, so it hurt Junior both ways. You know, he didn't want to abandon his team, and he didn't want to betray his father, and he was sneaking away, but he was following his heart. It's what his heart wanted to do. So, but I kind of get that it's like that energy, except you have to do what's fair to you. You have to. The other thing that I kind of get is that you're torn by what's fair. Do I stay in this situation even though I'm unhappy? Do I continue to live that role that's not me, you know, and sneak away at night? The other thing I get is that people are seeing you disappear. Like whomever it is that you're appeasing, they can see that you've got this kind of private side to you, and that you're very heart-centered with it. Like, they see you sneaking away at night. The other thing I get is that whoever this is thinks that you're doing something bad, but really you're just, you know. Now, this can be love related, because the Knight of Cups can be a love card. This can be like you sneaking away if you want to be with someone else, because we do have the King of Wands and the Knight of Cups. So if you're a woman watching this, you might be afraid that someone is off doing this. But I am getting almost like more of like living up to a role. Yeah, the Hanged Man. And here we see more red feet, people. I don't know if you've got something. The other thing that I get is that the feet is ruled by Pisces, and the Knight of Cups is definitely a Piscean card. It's almost like you're not being true. You know what? I know it sounds funny, but in astrology, like the head is ruled by Aries, and Aries rules really impulsive actions. And sometimes when I'm moving too fast, I'll crack myself in the head. Pisces is a real sensitive, heart-centered sign. It's also the last sign of the zodiac. And also with all this red, it's like blood. And actually, at the time this video is posting, the moon is going from Pisces to Aries. But I think that you might have, when you see blood rushing to your feet, that's the area that you need to take action. I think you need to honor your Piscean feelings. You need to follow your instincts and do what you want to do. And it's like that will be the right thing to do. The right thing to do is to not keep you in limbo, right? The Three of Swords is three swords piercing a heart. Until someone takes the swords out, that heart is pierced. You're hurting everyone involved. You know, you sneaking away and doing what your heart's calling you to do, but then still staying in that situation. The red feet is what you don't want to do. And you're stuck. You're not taking any action. This is also Hangman. This is Sleeping Beauty. I'm seeing a lot of themes about, this is weird, guys. When you're doing the right thing, you're able to sleep at night. I don't know where that's coming from. I'm hearing it, so I gotta say it. Also, if you feel all the blood running to your feet, or you feel this frustration, you're not doing what your heart's telling you to do. You will get justice if you follow what your heart's telling you to do. It might hurt somebody, but you're hurting people worse by sneaking around. People are drawing conclusions. You also see the two shadows, right? See the two shadows. People are assuming. That is also ruled by Pisces. Pisces rules photography, and it rules shadow and light, because that's what photography is. But I say by the end of the week, you are still in Hanged Man energy. You're still in the Three of Swords. You're torn. It would hurt somebody for you to follow this new path, for you to follow your heart. The other thing that I get is that you were going from something that you really know. And again, I'm hearing I'm the man. I'm the man. Maybe you were trained to be the man. And by letting go of that ego, by letting that persona die, you would be kind of bumped down to knight status. You're no longer a king, right? But this is not a page. This isn't a page. This is a knight. So you're not a king or a queen yet, but the knight grows to become king and queen status. So the other thing that I get is that I do sense that this is a little bit of fear. You know how they always talk about people going, oh my God, it was the craziest thing in the world. I quit my reliable day job to go become a photographer, and I didn't know how I was going to pay the bills. That's how it kind of feels, and definitely letting go of letting an ego death is really hard. It's because it's what's familiar, right? It's what's ingrained. So you'd be bumping yourself down to, what does my dad always say? You've been busted down to corporal, but you're not a page here. You're a knight. But you wouldn't be as strong in this energy as the persona that you knew previously. But it is following your heart, and you got to follow your heart to get out of that Three of Swords situation. The other thing is that this might be guiding you. The other thing is with Pisces, that's really your instincts. It's your higher self. It's your guides speaking to you. They might be speaking to you through sleep. I also get the sense that at the moment you have blood going to your feet, or some kind of harm coming to your feet, that's a real sign that, you need to pay attention more to this sensitive side that's calling to you to go on a journey. I know that sounds totally woo-woo, guys, but this is what I'm getting. And here we've got security. And look, there's a turtle, a sea turtle. I choose to feel secure and to work so that my bank account is full. You know what, guys? You know, this could be a job thing. You know, maybe you're moonlighting. You're doing something at night that's completely different, that might conflict. And you'd really like... I think it's really hard on you to do this thing that you don't like to do. I do think there's family involved, though. I do think there's some kind of family perception. Like you've been trained that, you know, okay, you have to do this. You have to be the provider. You have to, you know, and yes, if you're a spouse or a parent, of course you have to do that. But there's a justice here. These are 3 major arcanas. Justice will come when you get out of the Hanged Man energy. I think you want to do what's fair. You want to do what's fair. You don't want to hurt anybody. But please bear in mind, there is harm by having these 2 lives. That's keeping you in limbo. That's painful for everyone involved. But you choose to feel secure so your bank account is full. You know, of course, you know, if it means going along with the status quo. But whatever you're doing in your free time is really what that's the direction that you want to go. And again, guys, if you're not sleeping, I would try to do activities that help you sleep, help you get your serotonin levels correct. Also, if you are feeling any kind of swelling of your feet, I know that sounds really crazy, guys, but if you're seeing any type of swelling of your feet, try to maybe elevate with a pillow or look at that. Again, just like me hitting myself in the head anytime I'm being impulsive, that might be the universe's sign to you that, you know, you might not be honoring your Piscean kind of thing. Also, if you've done your astrological chart, you don't have to have any Pisces in your chart, but maybe you have planets in the 12th house, or whatever house that Pisces falls on in your chart, even if you don't really have a planet there. Like, for instance, I don't have any Piscean planets in my chart. Like, I have, you know, my sun, moon through Pluto is not in Pisces, but Hanged One again. But I know that Pisces is on my 5th house. So sometimes when Leo, or if the moon is making a transit, or other planets in the sky are in Pisces, then it's kind of hitting that 5th house with me. So that's all things to look at, right? All things to consider when you're looking at that energy for the week. All right, so deck number 3, the Spacious Tarot. Let's go ahead and see. Beginning of the week, we've got an Explorer of Wands. Middle of the week, 7 of Swords. Let's get 1 card to clarify that, please. 1 card, thank you. Justice again. Okay, Justice is damn well is the common denominator. End of the week, please. 6 of Wands. Ooh, nice. Okay, please clarify the 6 of Wands. What does this mean for my deck 3? Emperor. Okay. Four of Wands. Please, 1 card to clarify that, please. 4 of Wands. Knight of Cups is kind of being a thing. Okay, we got 2 7s, and then it regresses to a 6. Child of Swords, Temperance. All right, so let's go ahead and get one card for pile 3. Pile 3, please. If I don't get a flipper, I'll cut the deck. All right, can you hear me? All right, yes, sorry. It's been a week, so I'm double checking. All right, 1 card. Oh, thank you. Worthiness. Oh, look, that's a peacock. We kind of had peacock theme in the second deck. We might have some cross watchers. But all right, so beginning of the week, this is interesting, guys. We've got the Explorer of Wands, which is the Knight of Wands. He's such a cute little salamander. And underneath it, we've got the Seven of Cups and the Explorer of Cups. So I'm just going to come out and say it, guys. You can be a man or a woman in this energy. You are either dealing, if you're a woman, you might be dealing with a masculine. And again, assign the genders as they resonate. If it's girl, girl, boy, them, boy, however, you just sign it. It's all energy. Assign it as it resonates. But I do think that you are dealing with a little bit of a heartbreaker. Either you are the heartbreaker or you're dealing with a little bit of a heartbreaker, because these two nights, and if you here on my channel of how to tarot on the entire tarot, if you check out the Knight of Wands or the Knight of Cups, this is someone who has a lot of options. But what I'm seeing here, specifically in this, we have cups that are kind of thrown up in the air. They're kind of floating around in the air. And you know what I almost get from this is that you see how it looks like the cups are kind of levitating. I do get a sense of motion, like they were tossed up in the air, but here I almost feel like they're kind of hovering in space. And some of them are pouring out, some of them are upside down, some of them are turning right side up. So what I'm kind of getting here is that if male, female, however it resonates, you are either dealing with someone who has a lot of options and you know it. Like if you're talking to someone, you know that this person has like a lot of choices. If not, if this is your energy, you have a lot of choices. And what I'm getting here with, especially with these two cards, is that you might be talking up to 7 people. And I know that's crazy, because you know how and believe me, we've all done this. Like, when I remember years ago, before world events, if you're on a dating app, and especially with technology today, with the ability to text, I always say, I've said in previous video, the ability to text has turned the player into an art, right? In the 80s and 90s, the way you pick up women is you'd actually have to talk to them and get their number and call them. And nowadays you can just fire off one text and kind of keep the person on the hook, so to speak. Oh, well, I've thrown them this little nugget of attention. They'll think I'm interested. That's kind of what I get from this. You see how some of the cups are upside down? It's almost like, oh, okay, that person I haven't had time to talk to. I've been so busy keeping you've ever seen plate spinning? You know how when someone spins a plate and then they have to go to the next plate to keep all of the calls going, right? To keep all of the people interested, or keep all of the people in the loop that you're talking to. You might have to fire off a text or make sure that you go out to coffee or go out, and it's a little exhausting, right? So what I'm seeing here is that you have a lot of options, but some of them might be completely turned over. Like, okay, this person, the one that looks like it's just the last couple of drops are falling out, that might be someone that you haven't talked to in like 3 weeks, and they're like, okay, they're probably over it. If I try to contact them now, there's no water left in that cup. They're probably not even going to reply to me. This one that's starting to pour out, okay, maybe things were real hot and heavy 2 weeks ago, and they're starting to lose interest. This one might be a new one, like, okay, I just talked to that person on Friday, but I haven't chatted them back yet, so it's starting to get a little sloshy. And then this one is still, again, it's like different. I'm getting different phases. I know that sounds crazy. And the Explorer of Cups, the reason that the Explorer of Wands and the Explorer of Cups, the reason those are the real playboy energies is because the Explorer of the Knight of Wands cares about adventure. He cares about the experience. He cares about the thrill, right? The experience, right? And it's a wand, right? So if it's a guy, he cares about what makes his wand feel good. Now the Explorer of Cups is really about emotional exploration. And with that, it's about, okay, what makes me feel good, And, like I am hearing Nina Simone's, I actually got that record recently, Nina Simone's Feeling Good. It's about the depth of connection. Also, these are not kings or queens, these are knights. So it's a little bit, it's not page energy, but it's like knights are always the early adult, young adult, and you can be in your 40s and be acting like a 20-year-old. Like eternal bachelors kind of show up as knights, right? Because what it is it's like they don't want to give up their freedom. They want to still go out and explore. And okay, what does it feel like to connect with this woman, or what does it feel like to call this woman? It's the thrill of it. So the combination of this is that they like the physical, they like the thrill. They might like the thrill of the chase. They might like the heat of the moment. But then they're also diving deep because they want a deep feeling from it. So this is a person who's trying to find themselves. This is a person that goes out on adventures. So this could be someone that you're dealing with, and you might feel like you're one of these cups. Or if this is your energy, what I'm kind of getting here is that you might have a few plates spinning, or this person might have a few plates spinning, but the other thing about the Seven of Cups is that it really does make you feel like there's so many options. It is almost like that, like thinking, okay, this person has kind of a smorgasbord in front of them. It is almost biting off more than you can chew, right? And believe me, I've been in that energy too. When I start dating on these dating apps, it's like you start talking to 12 people and then you're just overstimulated. It's like, which one do I choose, right? How do you know from a picture on the screen what's going to bring you emotional happiness? So what I'm kind of getting here is by the beginning of the week, I think there's quite a few plates in motion. Few of them are about to fall because there's been some time. I do almost get like a ranking. I know that sounds kind of shallow. Sounds kind of harmful, really irresponsible. But kind of a ranking. And I'm not trying to say that you're being irresponsible. Sometimes it just happens that way. Again, if you're on dating apps, or you just happen to start talking to several people at once. I do call it, it's raining men. I've had it where like it usually the moment that I have given up on dating, I don't want to talk to anyone, then all of a sudden I've got 5 guys, like really cute ones, and I'm like, oh God, which one do I choose? Which one do I call back? I'm working this week, I'm tired. But again, there's 2 things going on here. You have maybe started connections, or this person you're dealing with has started a lot of connections. They don't know what cup to choose, but I think you are like, there is a ranking, like you've stopped chatting back. You've I do get a little bit of ghosting from this, which is crappy, but someone is trying to dive deep to see which cup would be the right cup for them. Is it one of the plates that they've kept spinning, or, because the other thing about the Seven of Cups, and if you have questions about this energy, please check out the How to Tarot for the Seven of Cups and the Knight of Cups. But the Seven of Cups really talks about how it's kind of like feeling foggy. Like, if I go with this cup, will I get all the, this is the rest of your life, right? That's another reason that the Knights are like young adult energy. You think about going to college and it's like, okay, but I'm going to be putting all this money and all of my time towards this degree. What if this degree doesn't bring me happiness? How am I supposed to know what's going to make, what career is going to make me happy in 10 years without putting all this energy into it? That's kind of the same thing with love, right? Well, this person is fun to talk to. I like hanging out with them, but are they a reliable partner? Would they make me happy? So I do get the sense that you're dealing with someone who's kind of in that juvenile energy. The other thing is they do bite off more than they can chew. I do think they probably do have about quite a few open chats with people. They're letting there's a few unread or unresponded that people are, losing interest. And I think this person, if this is your energy, what you're doing is you're trying to dive deep. You're trying to soul search because you're confused and you're overwhelmed. You did instigate all of these, though. So it was your action that started all this. So unfortunately, you made your own bed with that. But you are feeling overwhelmed. You're feeling foggy. And actually, the Knight of Cups is a good energy to deal with the Seven of Cups, because you never want to make a quick decision. But I would say that if you wanted to handle this in a mature way, I wouldn't just ghost people or leave them unread. I would just tell them, look, I'm busy at work. Could I chat you in a week? Or if you know in your top 7, your top 10, that you really aren't interested in continuing with this person, you could politely just go ahead and tell them that you're not interested like that, but that you hope that you could still be friends. That would be the mature thing to do. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think, or if you're dealing with somebody, you could actually say that. If you Google like how to respond to a ghoster, there's some great relationship coaches that talk about that. Like, hey, I really enjoyed talking to you, but I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks. Could you tell me what's going on? That might be what you're dealing with if this is a person that you're dealing with. But now by the middle of the week, we got another 7, and we got the 7 of Swords. So here, and underneath it, we got Justice. So, again, if you are dealing with someone in this energy, you might go ahead and send that text like, hey, you ghosted me. Why you being an asshole? You might call justice on someone. And you see how this is balanced. You're being fair with this person. You're not, but what you're doing is that I promise you, when somebody's being shady or dodgy, they don't like being called out, because when they're keeping you in this kind of murky, again, like breadcrumbing you a little bit. When they have you in this energy, things are unclarified, right? Things are not clear. And Justice is Libra energy. So here I can definitely see like justice is being thrown down. And so if you come out and say, okay, what's going on in this situation, this person is going to be like, well, I'm talking to 6 other people and you're just not high on my priority list, which makes them a sneaky asshole. But the other thing is that with the 7 of Swords is that this person can be being very clandestine about it, meaning they're hiding. They're not making it clear. This person's sneaking away from the pack. Now, one other way that I can kind of see this is it's quite possible you might have been talking to someone, and then you run into the other girls or other guys that they were talking to. And it's like all of you see how the Justice in traditional tarot holds a sword, and here you have 6 swords that are on the straight and narrow and 1 crooked. So you might be calling out. Have you ever seen those videos? And I'm so sorry, guys. I don't like watching those videos because it's so upsetting. Like when 3 women find out that they were seeing the same guy at the same time, and then they get, it's like the First Wives Club or something, and then they get together and confront the guy. It could be a situation like that. The other way I kind of read it here is that if this is your energy, you might be, you might have a few people like reaching out to you and calling justice. Like, the persons that you've been dealing with might come out and say, look, now one other way I can see it here is that you might be doing the honest thing and saying, look, you might be sending a few emails to people saying, look, I'm not interested. The other thing I kind of get is that you might be afraid of the wrath of these other swords. So you're feeling like you kind of have to, phase out of this, exit stage left, Now, one last way I can kind of see this is that if this is someone that you go to school with or work with, let me just see here. Child of Swords. I'm seeing more just texting. Child of Pentacles. One other way I can kind of see this is if this does involve baby mama, baby daddy. Again, if this is the father or mother of your child, it might be revealed that they had several options as well as dealing with you, and I'm so sorry if that's the case, guys. But just one other way I see this is that beginning of the week, you can kind of tell this person has options, or this person is not making a choice, and you can sense it, you can feel it. I do think this person is trying to make a decision, but it's very fuzzy. And I do think that they're still in explorer phase. This is like eternal bachelor kind of crap, like, well, I still want to explore 20 million other women, even though, it's funny. I read a great article that talked about a recovering, part of my friendship was a recovering fuckboy, that he even said, he goes, it's funny, later on when you actually settle down with one person, he goes, you look back and you get real embarrassed because you're out with your new girlfriend and you inevitably cross paths with someone that you had a liaison with, right? And he goes, and that person knows your past behavior. You're always, the way he described it was very eloquent, though. You could tell that he matured, right? He grew out of that night energy eventually. And he goes, yes, you can sleep with a million beautiful women, but he goes, sex is sex. And it's like going to the grocery store. If you want fettuccine Alfredo, you'll go out and get fettuccine Alfredo. If you want big boobs, big butt, long legs, you can go out and it's like, okay, am I having a taco or a burger? You can go out and you can find that, but, the end result is the end result. Having an orgasm, getting off is the same. It's like going to the grocery store and getting your needs met. It's like, going out and getting the food that you want that night. And having that kind of history, And actually there's a great quote by, who is it? Paul Newman. Paul Newman was married twice. His second wife, Joanne Woodward, they are a famously monogamous couple. Like, they're a beautiful couple. And then Paul Newman went on to create like an organic food line, but speaking of groceries. But there was a great line. He was extremely faithful to his wife. And people, I remember, and he's a total sex symbol too, right? As an actor, he was like a sex symbol. Women would be throwing themselves at him. But he said, he had a great line where he said, why would I go out for hamburger when I got steak at home? It's kind of the same thing here. Why are you going to go out? The other thing is that sometimes, and believe me, I know how it is, when you meet someone who's really charismatic, really handsome, sometimes I think it's a little bit of a warped psychology that women sometimes base our worth by the fact that we were with the it man, right? Even if that it man was with 100 other beautiful women, something like, well, that hot guy got with me. And what we need to be clear is that sleeping with someone who's physically attractive one time, when he has all these other options, that doesn't increase your worth. By saying, and that's the only thing that disturbs me a little bit with these women who throw themselves at married men, like Paul Newman. He's married to Joanne Woodward, and when you're married, your body changes, right? When you have kids, you're not going to have that tiny waist, you're not going to have that small butt, that long legs, even if you look like a model, your body's going to change as you age. And the good men, the good men are loyal to their wives. Just because another woman wants to get with them and say, oh, well, I slept with, and you compare it like Leonardo DiCaprio or, what is it? What's his name? Who's married to the lawyer now, but he had like decades. They thought he was never going to settle down. George Clooney. They never thought George Clooney was going to settle down. And, and Amal is beautiful. She's talented, but how many decades, how many women did he date before he settled down? Another good example is, Maroon 5 lead man. He did finally settle down with a woman who is totally his equal. But this is what I'm kind of getting here. You might be dealing with someone who's still in that night phase. And what I'm seeing is by the middle of the week, that person might be outed for being a playboy, or a playgirl, you know. And it's almost like, again, with these swords, justice usually has a sword, and here you see, I'm seeing lines and I'm seeing circles. So what I'm seeing is like, the other thing is that with this justice card, it's a rock skipping, like a rock. You know how when you hit the surface, it causes a ripple effect? I think someone is going to come forward to show that this person was flirting around, possibly sleeping around. And then you have all these either women or men, these people that they did that damage with. I think something might be coming to light, guys. This might be coming to light, and this person might be kind of trying to avoid it. Like, they're trying to avoid judgment. Someone is trying to avoid judgment. And it definitely looks like this person, because this is playgirl, playboy. Now, by the end of the week, it's interesting. It goes from 2 sevens to a 6. Again, I think if you had some kind of interaction with someone who was messing you around, possibly hitting on several other people, or being a playgirl, playboy, I think by the end of the week you're going to be vindicated. The other thing I get is that I think even if you did have, like, if you had a sexual encounter with this person, I think that you either cut it off or you called them on their crap. I don't think it got very far. I think possibly some of these other people that were affected, it might have gone further. And, you know, those folks might be coming forward. This does almost like, I keep hearing straight, on the straight and narrow. On the straight and narrow. So I feel like the other thing that I can kind of get is that this might be some kind of class lawsuit. Not to sound funny. If this is work related, then if this is work related, if this has nothing to do with relationships at all, you might be charging forth with some kind of goal, but you don't feel like you're on the strongest. Like you're not going in blindly, but you're following your heart, but you're really not sure what to do. Like, okay, what do I do? How do I handle this? And then by the middle of the week, something is going to come forward. This almost looks like some kind of like class lawsuit, like several people coming together, and the person who is in the wrong is kind of trying to sneak away, but someone's getting called out. I'm hearing ripple effect, like the moment that the stone hits the water, there's a ripple effect, like this is echoing. The other thing I'm hearing is that people are echoing the same experience, like everyone has the same story, they're unified. And the only thing the other person can do is run, or try to evade, or try to lay low. And what's interesting is you got 6 swords here, and then you got 6 wands here. By the end of the week, there's going to be some kind of victory. I think it's going to be a victory not only for yourself, but for the other people involved, because I'm seeing 6 and 6. The other thing is we've got an emperor here. That can be like a divine masculine. It can be like a boss of a boss. So this could be some kind of acknowledgement that's coming down from a high source. It can be like a judge, the devil. Let me get one more. I'm seeing a lot of like lines of shadows, guys, like bars. Let me go ahead and see. Okay, this victory, what does it mean for my pile 3? 2 of Swords. I think that this would be a victory for you, and whoever this person, if this is like a playboy, they're going to feel very trapped. The other thing is that these more swords, if you look at the 2 of Swords, it's blindfolded and cross. I think, you know what it is, guys, is that I think that you were very, if someone was messing you around, you felt like, you thought that this was your divine counterpart. They made you feel like that you were like the only one. And you still feel like, you know what I'm getting is that you might get victory on calling this person out, But underneath the surface, you really wish that they were loyal and faithful to only you. You know that they weren't. It's almost like underneath the surface, you're still attached to them. You still have strong feelings for them. The other thing I see is I see kind of a sunset here. You see the sun setting. I think I think by the end of the week there is a victory because what was going on got exposed or got called out. But it's going to take you a long time to still get over it. Like the sun is just setting on these feelings. It's not. The other thing I kind of get is that Three of Swords. Yeah. This is still. This person is going to feel really trapped. They're going to feel like it's going to feel painful. The other thing I get is that whatever is being revealed here is going to reveal that there was third-party situations, and that's gonna hurt you. It's gonna leave you really torn inside because you felt really attached to this person. They felt like the world to you. They felt like your divine counterpart. You don't want to let them go. But the other thing is the two of Swords is like head over heart. Like, if someone was messing you around or being an F-boy or a F-girl, that you don't need to stay in that situation. But, getting over it is a lot easier said than done. You might feel like, it's almost like on the outside you feel victory over Three of Cups. It's going to be revealed that this person had more than one person. It might only be you and another person, because I got 3 and 3, but that's 6. And we're looking at 6 and 6. 10 of Wands. So, the Chariot. Yeah. But now, just one other way I can read it is that maybe you've been in kind of a third-party situation. Maybe you've been trying to do the right thing, and the only thing that you can do, the only way to make it right is to kind of to say your piece, to kind of throw the rock in the water and then walk away. This could be that maybe you were afraid to say something about some kind of corruption that you were seeing. But we've got 3 of Swords, 3 of Cups, Devil, and 2 of Swords. I do think that this might be revealing, this might be revealing that somebody had some kind of other party in the mix. And they're either being called out for messing people around, or they're gonna sneak away and, this person, whatever is gonna happen, this person's gonna be moving fast. They're gonna be moving fast to get away, or moving fast, to... But if it's any consolation, I do think this person had strong feelings for you. It's just, they were not in a time in their life where they could do the right thing. And I'm not justifying that behavior at all. It's quite possible that, the Emperor can also be a father. So it could have been a situation where they really cared about you, but while sowing their wild oats, they might have gotten someone pregnant. Because 3 of Cups can be like the addition, mother, father, baby. And, feeling like the Devil and the 2 of Swords can be feeling trapped in that, One other way I can kind of read this too is that you might get news that, this person might be getting praise like, hey, you got married, you got a baby on the way, congratulations. So on the outside, everyone's like, oh, look at you, big man. But then underneath it, they were trapped in this relationship by the birth, like they're chained to it. And underneath it, they have a lot of churning emotions, and it could be emotions for you. But you see, there's we talked about that sunset being in these two pictures. There's also a sun there. And one thing you don't know is you don't know if the sun is rising or setting. You know, this could be somebody who is fighting some kind of, this could be someone who's trying to sneak away or fight some kind of legal situation involving a third party. But here we got the Peacock card again. That seems to be a real theme. And it says worthiness. I feel worthy and I have very special talents that will help me achieve my dreams. So, you know what, guys? You know, if this is, you know, if this is not love related, you know, maybe you really do have some kind of legal thing going on where someone's trying to sneak away and you're trying to do the right thing. I am getting more romance from it, guys, and if that's the case, I really, my heart goes out to you this week, because this is some tough energy, but I think you're handling it the right way. The other thing I get with the Emperor card is that could be your energy. It could be you just handling things like a boss. Like you're not going to feel chained to something. You're not, you might have these feelings churning underneath the surface. You might feel stabbed. You might feel like betrayed, but you're not going to sit in the shit, right? You're going to keep going. You're going to call out the misbehavior. You're going to do the right thing. The other thing I get is that it's almost like you might be getting praise for doing that, for being strong enough to do that, right? You know, because it's hard to, you know, it's hard to call out that. And believe me, you know, it's funny, that is an injustice. And it's not to say that you can't date around when you're young, but be honest about it. Be like, okay, I'm not looking for anything serious. I just want something casual. Okay, swipe left. I'm not even going to text you. I'm not going to, sure, so I'm not going to sleep with you, you know? But if someone kind of led you on and then kept you spinning, you know, and you called them out, that took a lot of strength. The other thing is, like we said, you know, you don't need to sleep with somebody who's handsome in order to prove your own worth. The other thing is that if someone's treating you like that, treating you like an option, you are worth so much more than that, honey. I feel worthy and I have special talents that'll help me achieve my dreams. And you know what? You know, congratulations, F-boy, F-girl, you played yourself. You know, this person, that behavior doesn't get you anywhere good. You know, and it alienates the hell out of you later on in life, you know. And you could look at those big boy playboys. I mean, George Clooney is happily married now, but I can only imagine him going to an award show and not running into 7 of the previous women that he's, you know, messed around with. That's got to be awkward as hell. I wouldn't want that, you know. I'd rather stay single and never date at all than deal with some of that stuff, you know. But that's just me. But all right, pile 3, please be well and take care of yourself. And honestly, that 6 of Wands is victory. So even though we have some of that, you know, shadow underneath the side, just, you know, take care of yourself and also do things that make you feel worthy. You know, reinforce the, you know, do things that reinforce the you know, that makes you feel worthy in yourself. But, all right, guys, as always, I always think it's going to be a short reading. It's never a short reading, but I never shortchange you. So I always go wholeheartedly into these. So, but thank you so much for stopping by, and I will do my best to have the video out on Saturday next week. And I hope you have a good week, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.